security and revenue generation in the lower Tana River Basin. That the project is estimated to cover 8 locations in Garseni constituency, namely Muina location, Salama, Galili location, Kipao location, Wachuodha location, Konemansa location, Handaraku location, and Didawarede location. That the project as currently designed will lead to great displacement of residents of the said location, destabilize their livelihood economically, socially, and politically, and further interfere with the environmental ecosystem composed of protected forest areas that are an ecological habitat for marine and terrestrial wildlife. That part of the area covered by the project is in Tana River Delta, which is Kenya's 6th Ramsar site and the only Ramsar wetland outside the rift, as declared by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. That the effort by the resident to engage TARDA to review the boundaries before implementation of the project have not been successful. That the resident and that the reluctance by TARDA to conduct public participation on the project violate the national values and principles of governance stipulated in the Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The issue in the respect of which this petition is raised are not pending before any court of law or any constitutional or legal body. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Petitions Committee, 1, engages the Tana and Athi Rivers Development TARDA to review the boundaries of land managed by the Tana Delta Irrigation Project in order to, among other interventions, ensure that Tana River Delta Irrigation Project does not extend beyond the southern parts of Garseni Lamu Road and should instead be extended eastward toward the border of Boni Forest to create a security buffer zone. Number 2, facilitate clear demarcation of boundaries of TARDA land from the general community land. Number 3, compels TARDA to comprehensively engage residents of Tana River in all aspects of the project's design and implementation, and makes any other recommendation or actions deems fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Wario, the 2 petitions are committed to the Committee of Public Petitions. Because of the debate before us, I will forego the need for any comments. We'll leave it to the committee to deal with those 2 petitions. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 14th June afternoon sitting. 1, first quarterly report of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for the year covering the period 1st January 2023 to 31st March 2023 from the Office of the Attorney General. 2, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022 and the certificates therein. Mukurweini Technical Training Institute, Samburu Technical and Vocational College, Madenga Technical Training Institute, Mount Elgon Lodge Limited, Simlo Seeds Company Limited, Kieni Technical and Vocational College, Madera Technical and Vocational College, Lake Victoria North Water Works Development Agency, the Technical University of Kenya, Multimedia University of Kenya, National Youth Service, National Youth Council, the Institute of Human Resource Management, Pwani University, Kenya Water Towers Agency, National Irrigation Authority, Sikri Technical and Vocational College for the Blind and Deaf, Chuka Technical and Vocational College, Tarbot Technical and Vocational College, and MSOS Technical and Vocational College. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Chairperson, Select Committee on Delegated Legislation.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 14th June 2023. Is the report of the Select Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2023. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member of the Kenya Parliament Delegation, I don't know to where, Honorable John Kiari. Eh? John Kiari? That must be IPU delegation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. And I rise, Mr. Speaker, to lay the following paper on the table of 23. And the paper I'm laying, Mr. Speaker, is a report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, also known as the Parliament of Parliaments, the IPU, and related meetings that were held in Manama in the Kingdom of Bahrain from the 11th to the 15th of March 2023. Mr. Speaker, I do appreciate this opportunity, and with your magnanimity, Mr. Speaker, because this is the first time I was speaking on something substantive, I would beg you allow me 1 minute to just say thank you to all the members of Parliament who came in a very big way to support me when we were laying my dad to rest, and say a very special thank you to yourself, Mr. Speaker, all of Parliament, the Clerk of the National Assembly, the sergeants, and everyone who accompanied us as we were laying the great man to rest at home. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Kiari. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Kiari.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion: that this House notes the report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, the IPU, and related meetings that were held in Manama in the Kingdom of Bahrain from the 11th to the 15th of March 2023, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 14th June 2023. This is signed by myself. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements. Okay. Order number 8, the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2023, second reading.
My records show at the time we rose, Mishi Mbogo, member for Likoni, was on the floor with 4.5 minutes to go. Honorable Mishi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I said from the onset, I strongly oppose this bill, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I'm just citing on the increased taxation on fuel levy. And for me, if you increase fuel levy, it means the cost of production is going to be high, the cost of transportation is going to be high. It will also affect agriculture, because agriculture depends on machinery, and the machinery, they depend on diesel and petrol as power. Honorable Speaker, as you know, the cost of living right now is very high, and Kenyans have been burdened by this. Honorable Speaker, right now, unga is about 250. If by bad luck this bill passed, it will mean it will go beyond 250 shilling. That means Kenyans will not be able to have a plate of meal. I don't know whether Kenyans are going to go back to the concept of fasting, the way the Shakahola victims have been doing, because they will not be able to put a plate to eat. Honorable Speaker, there is the issue of the turnover tax. The turnover tax before, it used to be around 1 million shilling, but now it has been reduced to 500,000. meaning if you divide by 365 days, it means if you're making a sale of about 1,370 per day, you are going to put a tax of 3%. And these are the hustler people, the mama mboga, the boda boda, the mama mahamri. All of these people, they don't have money, they are broke, they are poor, and yet they're being told to give that kind of a taxation. Honorable Speaker, the issue of housing, I think this could be done voluntary, because right now, so many Kenyans, especially the civil servants, let's look on our humble teachers, our police officers, our KDF guys, and other civil servants who have already incurred some mortgages from other financial institutions. Others have taken loans from various banks, and yet they are being forced to pay a fund for housing. Honorable Speaker, I think it should not be mandatory, but it should be a voluntary. So many questions have been raised on this issue of housing. For instance, if a couple, both of them are civil servants, are they both going to be charged that 3%? Is 2 houses a priority for them? Maybe they would need to have only 1 house, but then because they are both civil servants, they are going to pay that taxation. Another question is, for somebody who has few years to retirement, maybe 5 or 10 years, if he pays that taxation for 5 and 10 years, what will happen? Is he going to get that house? If he's not going to get that house, where will that money go? Is he going to get that money back? Is he going to get an interest of that money? So there are so many questions which as Kenyans, we need to have been thought about it even before putting on in this bill. Honorable Chair, there is a saying in Kiswahili which says, mtu ujikuna afikapo. I know we have put a big budget, but do we chew what we cannot swallow? Let us just go gradually, because Rome was not built in a day. I know there is a lot of wastages. There is a lot of corruption. If you only look on those loopholes, on the wastages and on the corruption, and also those vote heads, which they are not that priority. I don't say that they are not important, but maybe it's not a priority. Like today in the budget, there are some offices which have been allocated, huge fund, a lot of money, big monies, and yet if you look on the function and the roles, it is not a priority. Our priority as a country is to reduce the cost of living for Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, I want also to talk about the increased tax on mobile money transfer. As you know right now, majority of Kenyans, I can say maybe over 70%, they depend on mobile money transfer. Even our parents in the rural setup where the banks are not there, we keep on sending money via mobile money transfer. And today, we are going to increase the taxation from 12 to 15%. That means you will pay more 3% to send money through mobile money M-Pesa. Honorable Speaker, there is also advanced tax on commercial vehicle. When you talk about commercial vehicle, you don't miss to talk about matatus, you don't miss to talk about lorries. We are using matatu. Is the fare not going to be high? It is going to be high. You want to maybe to transfer your materials, building material and something else using the lorries. Lorry is also part of the vehicles which we are talking about here. So it means it will be very expensive. Honorable Speaker, I want to urge my colleague to be objective leader, which I believe they are objective leader, and look at this bill and look at Kenyans. Because we don't say that we don't want to pay tax. Taxation is part.
Mutunga. Yes, was a point of order. Kamket. Is it Kamket? What's your point of order? What's out of order?
Mr. Speaker, I raise understanding order number 1. Mr. Speaker, given the interest in this bill, and having noted, Mr. Speaker, that the card system in this House is totally rigged, could I be in order, Mr. Speaker, that you use a mixture of both the card and other considerations in identifying members to speak?
What are other considerations?
There are other members, Mr. Speaker. There are members, Mr. Speaker, who never even went for lunch. They were here literally, they put their cards from 1 up to now. And there are other members, perhaps, Mr. Speaker, who may have been doing other things for their constituency. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, I'm seeking your indulgence.
I understand you.
Yeah, that you use a card and a mixture of a bit of members catching your eye. Thank you, Mr.
What I
Speaker.
don't know is what your other methods are. But members, the screen is full, both requests and interventions. Requests are 89, but on the screen I can only see about 15, of course, because of the structure of the screen. Interventions are 9, and I know many more who want to speak. Listening to the tone of the debate, it's up to you as a House to decide whether you want to stick to 5 minutes or you want to cut a little less. You are okay with 5 minutes? Okay. We'll go on with that, if that is the mood. What we will do is, you know, in a debate such as this, there are a lot of considerations that we follow. We'll be as fair to everybody as we can. Remember that we are sitting up to 9 p.m. So by that time, I'm sure the majority of you will have had an opportunity to speak. Even if we are saying 5 minutes, if you came to prosecute only one point, when you finish it, you don't have to meander around on other issues that are not clear. Prosecute your point and then give room to somebody else. Mutunga and Sergeant, the chamber is too hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
Can you improve the aircon?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this bill. Honourable Speaker, as we speak to this particular bill, I seek for sobriety because the issues and matters in this bill are really important to this country. Honourable Speaker, yesterday we passed a report, clause by clause, the report on supplies, and we all did not have a problem. We all were happy at the end of the day. The bill pronounces some measures to raise revenue, to increase revenue by 211 billion, so that we may attain a target, which is in this year's budget, of 2.5711 trillion. For what purpose are we raising this money? Honourable Speaker, we want to raise money to increase, or rather to boost manufacturing and job creation in this country. If we create more jobs, it means we employ more Kenyans. It means we get Kenyans out of destitution. Honourable Speaker, it is also supposed to increase access to food or food security, in other words. It's supposed to increase possibility to have universal health and also complete the stored projects. I am sure in every backyard there's a stored project, and these are the projects we'd like to complete with this money. And finally, and unique in this particular respect, Honourable Speaker, affordable housing. I want to highlight a few issues that have been brought by my colleagues. One of them, some have cited insensitivity to Kenyans. Is creating jobs being insensitive to Kenyans? Is employing the 6 million or so youths who are in this country looking for jobs for 4 or 5 years being insensitive to Kenyans? Is spreading the little that we have to all the others being insensitive to Kenyans? Mr. Speaker, I do not think so. Many have also cited that there are other means, and they're not coming clean on which means. Which means are we referring to? More debt, more burdening, selling out this country to foreigners, or auctioning our institutions and our investments? I do not think that is the way to go. Honourable Speaker, let me pick on the issue that is more contentious in this House, the issue of 1.5% housing levy. I'm looking at Kenyans who are unemployed, and I'm looking at employed people saying that giving 1.5% is punitive to get our daughters and sons employed, to get your brothers and sisters employed. You cannot surrender 1.5. Honourable Speaker, I would like, if it were possible, to bring an amendment to say a minimum of 1.5%, and those who can give more, to give more, because we need Kenyans employed. Once we employ these Kenyans, are we not spreading the power across the domain? Are we now supporting those who are at the bottom of the pyramid? If somebody is in a household that is educated and doesn't have a job, and there are so many others who are depending on somebody who doesn't even have a job today, are we saying that it is unreasonable to employ such a person? Housing scheme has the capacity to employ 3 people per every 3 million house, and indirectly, that is directly and indirectly 8 people. If we create this employment, don't you see the sense in having the youth employed? Honourable Speaker, I think that is the lowest we can go. Minimum 1.5%, and those who can give more, to go ahead and give more. Honourable Speaker, there was an issue of aircraft and parts. The duty on aircraft and parts, Honourable Speaker, this comes in to address the demand for air travel. I am sure some of us here suffer because they do not have air travel. I come from Meru. We have an airport at Isiolo, which we can use very effectively, but there is no commuter plane. We would like to have a commuter plane like the one going to Kisumu, like the one going to Mombasa, like the one going to Garissa. We would like that. Investment in this field is impossible because of the cost. Is that really being unreasonable? Don't we have important things to do over time? Is our time not useful as it is, as yours is? Let's look at these things positively and try to see how we can build this economy in a better way. Honourable Speaker, there is the issue of investment in reducing cost when it comes to importation of materials. When you look at the bill, there are about 21 ways in which it is lifting the Kenyans out of the burden. And the issue of the fuel levy from 8 to 16%. Look at the other East African countries whom we compare with. I'm sure some people are saying in their minds that we should not compare ourselves with anybody. But are we living in a universe which is only us alone, or are we living in a universal economies? In a universal economy, we respond as for the others. If the others have 16%, why not us? Tell me, why not us? Honourable Speaker, I support fully this bill.
Lillian Kogo. Lillian Kogo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Yes, Minority Whip, Honorable Dr. Lillian Kogo. Thank you. Thank you so much. PhD, LLM. Thank you. Not LCC. Honorable Speaker, allow me, Papa, to rise and vehemently oppose this particular Finance Bill 2023. And I want to do it on the basis of a couple of matters. And after that, I'll just sit down, Honorable Speaker. It is proposed, Honorable Speaker, that there is a tax that is going to be placed on what is being assumed or being called beauty products. And beauty products, most of the consumers of beauty products are women, Honorable Speaker. And I do not know why somebody would hate Kenyan women that much. Why do you hate Kenyan women that you don't want them to be beautiful? Why do you want to hate Kenyan women so much so that even when you send fare, you complain? Why do you want to hate Kenyan women to the extent that you assume these are beauty products? But things like wigs are used by women probably to cover up when they are having or they are suffering from cancer. What I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, these are not only beauty products, Honorable Speaker. We have both men and women who suffer fungal infection of nails, Honorable Speaker. And that is why people end up using what they call fake nail products. These are not necessarily used for beauty. These are even recommended by doctors. But what I really hate is the attitude that people have towards Kenyan women, Honorable Speaker. We want to compete with others in beauty. We want to also look nice. We want our husbands to see us beautiful, Honorable Speaker. And we have a right, Honorable Speaker, to use this addition product, Honorable Speaker. So whoever thought about putting any or introducing taxation on beauty products, please think twice. Because I know even your wife at home uses them. Secondly, they do. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that most content creation, digital content creation, is done by young people, Honorable Speaker. And as I speak for young people of this country, Honorable Speaker, it doesn't matter whether this particular taxation has been reduced from 15 to 5%. These are people, young people, who take a lot of their time to try and put food on their table and to get employment for themselves. Why do you want to cheat the Kenyan public that you are creating employment when you are killing employment on the other side, Honorable Speaker? These are people who are young and they need tax reprieve so that they can be innovative and they can also be creative, Honorable Speaker. Of course, I don't want to belabor, Honorable Speaker, on increment of taxation on petroleum products, Honorable Speaker. Everything, all manner of fuel requirement is petroleum-based. Why should somebody insist, whereas we already have high taxation? We are spending so much already, Honorable Speaker, on electricity. The cost of electricity in this country is so high, and most electricity generation is done using petroleum products. How much are we going to end up paying for electricity, Honorable Speaker? And Honorable Speaker, as I speak, please, Kimani Ichung'wah, can you allow me to expedite what I'm doing? I am not going to listen to you. I didn't speak when you're speaking, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. This is what I'm saying as I speak, Honorable Speaker, that I am going to say no when the time comes. I am saying I'm rejecting this finance bill in totality, Honorable Speaker, and I'm saying on behalf of Rangwe people who have sent me, Honorable Speaker, that I oppose this particular bill. I thank you.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, on a light note, you need to protect me. And I appreciate that there are some members who generate bonga points from their constituencies by mentioning the name Kimani Ichung'wah. But you know, it can't be that I can't even smile. I know Lilian Gogo is a beautiful lady from Rangwe. And when she speaks about generation of electricity and says most of the electricity is generated through fuel, and I smile at her because she knows she's lying. And I was only smiling because she's telling a green lie. She knows most of our electricity today is green energy. It is not thermal energy.
Okay.
And because she knows it is the truth, she's
You've made your
misleading people.
point.
Please protect me, Mr. Speaker.
Order. 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 Member for Manyata. Yes, Chonga, what is the problem? Hold on, Kitonga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you have been observing since when this session started, two members, the majority, leader of majority and his deputy, are busy intimidating this side instead of following what is going on. They are bullying the opposition side. Mr. Speaker, my request, Mr. Speaker,
yes,
is to make a statement about these two leaders here.
Order, Honorable Chonga. Order, Honorable Chonga. Order, Honorable Chonga. Honorable Chonga, you are legitimately elected by your people, and you should not allow yourself to be intimidated by simply a member looking across at you. That cannot be, and the House will protect every member against, and there's no limitation as to where members should sit. Kitonga Kon.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I thank you for this opportunity to contribute to this very important bill. Honorable Speaker, before I even go on, I want to start by correcting the honorable member who has just contributed. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that it's important when members are contributing to this, they should have at least gone through the bill. Honorable Speaker, if members turn to page 169, they will see that the clause that was taxing human hair and products, beauty products, has been deleted by the committee, Honorable Speaker. So I can assure the member that she will be beautiful and she will continue being beautiful. But we also insist on natural beauty, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, there has been a talk so much about the hustler in this bill. And Honorable Speaker, it's important we demystify and know who are really looking up for the hustlers. Honorable Speaker, anybody who says that when we are talking of building houses, getting money that can be able to go down to our tribes, our construction of markets and everything, Honorable Speaker, is bad, that is a member that does not care about the hustlers. And Honorable Speaker, there are members who are opposing this bill, but what they want is to have youths that are desperate, that can be used for maandamano and to cause havoc in this country because they have no work or duties to do, Honorable Speaker. I would like to say that this bill, Honorable Speaker, the finance bill, is a bill that is all-rounded. And Honorable Speaker, because I have been thinking clearly on alternatives, and having looked at the people who have thought out this bill, I've seen they have looked at it wholesomely. I would like to say that it is upon the executive, because it is true that we are tightening our belt. And I want to say this clearly, Honorable Speaker, that we will do our part and pass this bill in this House, Honorable Speaker. But at the same time, I would like to call upon His Excellency the President and his cabinet and anybody else, including this parliament, to start looking at how we are spending the money for taxpayers. I would like to see a case where we have austerity measures so that while Kenyans are tightening their belt, while Kenyans are trying as much as possible, we get these monies, Honorable Speaker, but let us have as showing, not only doing but also showing that we understand the status of this country and we put austerity measures and close those loopholes where, Honorable Speaker, money get lost. I would like to say that, Honorable Speaker, I was happy yesterday when I saw the money that has been given to institutions that fight corruption. And Honorable Speaker, the only thing, and having spoken to many Kenyans, having spoken to my constituents, the challenge and their fear is how the government has been losing money through corruption. The assurance by His Excellency the President that monies collected will be used for the right reasons, without corruption. And I would like him to stamp his foot so hard that we don't have any coin getting lost through corruption, Honorable Speaker, because that will be very bad for anybody who has participated in passing this bill. Honorable Speaker, maybe, and moving forward, in another 1 year, the bill that is going to be read in this House will be for increase of salaries of teachers after we pay pending bills that have been accumulated for 5 years and 6 years, Honorable Speaker, during handshake government. Honorable Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Doris Donya. I want to see if you live to your promise that you'll speak for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to oppose this motion, more especially from the side of betting. I don't understand why they had to lower the tax, bearing the fact that most people have committed suicide because they've lost their money. Wives, we can't sleep at night when our husbands are betting because they are waiting to win. So you can imagine the separation from love, having lowered the betting tax. On the other side, Mr. Speaker, every speaker who is supporting the motion is saying that we have a lot of public debt. What you are not telling us is what informed this public debt. What can Kenyans celebrate when we talk of these debts? What is the value? I come from Kisii. There are no roads, no teachers at the junior secondary school, no doctors in hospitals, no even medicine. We can talk of the other days when we were given free nets. Nowadays, the government gives nothing, no free nets. Even university students are complaining the supply of condoms has gone down. We are here, we are not even taking care of our citizens. No food. Mr. Speaker, we are not eating. We are hungry. We are talking of houses. You want people to vote for us. Who will be voting? Let me ask you, Mr. Speaker, which man will come and tell a woman, I love you, at night when you are hungry? What will you be doing? Your food is empty. We are opposing this motion, because this bill, because it does not cater for our interests. Mr. Speaker, the loopholes. Today I saw in one of the TV stations, one police officer makes 15,000 shillings in 2 hours from bribes. How much is that in a day? We should look on ways on how to seal the loopholes, not on ways to take from Kenyans what's duly theirs. I stand firm from Kisii County. The people of Kisii County whom I represent have told me the bill is not good. When I had a conversation with Honorable Soro, he was not smiling because he knows deep down his heart this bill is not good. And if this bill is good, honorable members, why can't we do secret balloting? You will see how it will fall flat. My people from Kenya Kwanza, the other side, you will vote no. So, Mr. Speaker, if this bill is good, let's do secret balloting,
yes,
and
Osoro.
it will fall down.
Yes, Osoro. What is your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, I don't think it's in order for Honorable Donya to use me in her statements that when I had a conversation with her that I wasn't smiling. Honorable Speaker, she cannot use there is no smilometer to define whether I support this thing or the finance bill or not. She's been smiling all along when I was contributing, Honorable Speaker. An indication that she was supporting what I was saying is only that at the point she stood to speak, she lost control and only imagined about condoms and things that we actually do not do in Kisii, Honorable Speaker. I consider Honorable Donya as...
What is your point of order?
My point of order, Honorable Speaker, is that she's using my name to make a statement, which is wrong. I support the finance bill. We are not going to vote secretly. It is public, and Kisii County is supporting the finance bill, the entire Kisii County.
Donya, finish up.
Thank you again, and Honorable Soro.
You have 30 seconds.
Lastly, Mr. Speaker, if the government wants to make money, which every point is, we are looking for money, we are looking for money. Even in this finance bill, you are just saying you want money, you want money. Please ask your government, which you are supporting, to make use of our idle land. They make more factories, so, like Mumias is dying, Stony Sugar is dying. That is where we find employment, not building houses. In fact, you are advocating for divorce because if a teacher, you are assuming Donya is a teacher. My husband is a teacher. I contribute house taxes. How many houses will you give Donya and her family? Meaning my husband will be sleeping in another house. I'm also in the other house. What are you telling Kenyans?
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Donya. Owen Bayer.
Honorable Speaker, as we come away from the entertainment by Honorable Donya, we would now like to get to serious business. Honorable Speaker, you know, when I used to teach something called systems theory. When you are looking at systems theory, you needed to look at the input and the output.
Honorable Donya, what is order and buyer?
Point of order. How can he say entertainment? You are making my electorate think I'm a comedian, Honorable Bayer. What are you saying? You have to withdraw, not entertainment.
Carry on, Honorable Baya.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You need to start paying content fee for your new job. Honorable Speaker, I'm talking about systems theory. And when you're talking about the systems theory, you look at the input and the output. But at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, the bigger picture, the whole system is very important. As we split hairs discussing the finance bill and the issues that go into it, we need to look at the big picture. The big picture is this country requires revenue. The revenue that is required is needed so that we move this country forward. What are we looking at? We are looking at 300 billion shillings. Where is this 300 billion shillings going in this finance bill? Honorable Speaker, if I come from the coast, and I come from the coast, I wouldn't oppose the finance bill because the Blue Economy and Fisheries Department, for the first time, to grow the fisheries industry in the coast is getting 1.8 billion to ensure our fishermen have nets, our industry in the fisher industry has resources. Again, the shipping and maritime affairs industry has 24.88 billion, money that is meant to grow the maritime industry at the coast. Again, in this budget, for which this finance bill is going to finance, has 2.2 billion for buying land from absentee landlords. Honorable Speaker, if you come from the coast and you oppose this finance bill, the finance bill which is going to finance all these beautiful, good things that the president wants to do for the coast region, who are you fighting for? That is the question that I ask. Who are you fighting for? We need to look at the big picture. When we collect all these resources, all this money, whether it comes from hair, from nails, from condoms, like Donya said, from wherever it comes from, the bigger picture still remains an important thing, and it is about what we get from it. And I'm very sure after this finance bill, the coast region will rise because of the money that we have. Honorable Speaker, again, the question is, where do we as a country want to go? Do we want to go over the cliff through more borrowing, or do we want to stop borrowing, start looking at inward revenue and use that revenue to ensure that we can develop this country, or we want to go over the cliff with debt? Honorable Speaker, many of these people who I shared a podium with when I was in ODM believed what Kibaki did when he was president. That Kibaki brought in the new saying, kulipa ushuru ni kujenga taifa. Ni kujitegemea. Kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. A lot of them believe in that mantra. They believe in the Kibaki economics, which was about self-sustaining a country through taxes. Today, they will sit here and say, we cannot pay taxes. We should not pay taxes. But what I want to look at, Kenya Kwanza has a manifesto which it has to fund, and that funding must come through taxes, and it is these taxes that we have to collect as a government and ensure that Honorable Wandai, Honorable Mbui, they have enough money for their roads in their constituencies, that they have enough money for CDF, and this money will not come from donors. It will come from the taxes that we pay. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the coast region where I come from is known for cement manufacturing. This cement industry has been for a long time stifled because of imported cement. A lot of the Chinese have built these roads through imported cement, and yet this country has a capacity to produce cement, employ many people, and use the local people and local resources to create wealth for this country. Today I'm happy because this finance bill imposes a heavy tax on imported cement, giving an opportunity to the cement industry and the cement industry in this country to develop. Honorable Speaker, we have the ultimate duty as leaders to ensure that we sacrifice just like our ancestors and our forefathers sacrificed for this country. We cannot be talking about me and I and the other. We need to look at the nation, at the country. Kenya must rise, and it cannot rise.
Thank you, Ruth Odinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to oppose the financial bill. Mine would be to start by saying that there's no Kenyan who does not want to pay tax. And we are not here to say we are opposing this financial bill because we don't want to pay tax. I think every Kenyan is paying tax and has been paying tax. Probably they are only complaining that the tax that they've been paying, they do not know what it does that benefits them as such. And that now that they're not even satisfied with the one they've been paying, they're now being made to pay more than what they've already been paying. And I think that should be stated clearly, because it's important that we are not misled by the KK brothers of ours here to say that we are saying people should not pay tax. That is not the case. I would like to start off with the fuel levy. For me, I thought that one of the reasons that the fuel levy was actually reduced from the 16% to the 8% was during the COVID times, when the country was going through a very terrible time and there was a revamp in a slump in our economy. And after that, we are now in a period that we are stating that the economy is now back to normal. I don't think so. I don't know why the Kenya Kwanza team have decided to agree. The government is saying that now we are back to paying 16% from 8%. Yet the economy is worse. People are suffering more. Most businesses are still closed since COVID. What has happened that has informed us to now state that the fuel levy should go from 8 to 16%? I think that was too much of a drastic change. We all know that the fuel levy is going to affect the whole of the economy, especially Kenya being an agricultural economy. With the fuel taxes going higher, it means, therefore, we are going to be paying more for machinery in the farms, we are going to be paying more for transportation of our goods, and this is really going to affect our economy. On top of that, we are saying that the VAT should be put on export goods. If we do that, we are killing the same export that we are expecting Kenya to be a net exporter of our goods. How do we then start putting VAT on those exports? Number two, I would like to talk about the reason why why the women of Kenya started Mama Mboga. The Mama Mboga movement of us, where we are now having women doing table banking, started because women were not feeling confident enough to go to the banks to get money from the banks. Reason was that the banks were charging high interest and taxes to the women. They therefore started this table banking. Now, the table banking has been helping the Mama Mboga. If you now start saying you're going to be charging taxes on the table banking, this is actually immoral and criminal to say that you want to tax Mama Mboga. That is going to really be one of the things that I think is going to make this country to flop. Third and most, I come from Kisumu County, and Kisumu in Western Kenya and the whole of Western Kenya have got through in historical injustice, have never been able to have the industries that some of these other parts of the country enjoy. Most of our economy is actually run by the Jua Kali sector. And when you now say that you're going to put the turnover tax to be able to see that we are now paying taxes from 500,000 instead of the 1 million, you are actually, anyway, I know my time is about up, Bwana Speaker. I want to say something last. Bwana Osoro, you actually said that in Kenya, those who have, the majority have their way, as the minority have their say. The majority in Kenya are the Kenyans who are out there. The Kenyans in Kisii and everywhere else, they are the majority. And if this financial bill does pass, mtaona Kenya is going to go on fire. There will be fire in Kenya. And the fire will be coming from the majority, who are the people who are outside in Kenya, who are putting these taxes on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Members, let's acknowledge in the presence of the galleries, public and speakers, Moi Girls, Nairobi, Kibra, Tekimbere Primary School, Mbere, Embu, Elgon College, Nyaribari Chache, Kisii, Kimasian Boys Secondary School, Kipkelion East, Kericho, Gedesmane Academy, Suba North, Homa Bay, Beth Mugo High School, Dagoret South, Nairobi, Kinderville School, Mavoko, Machakos, and Kavingoni Secondary School, Makueni. On your behalf and on my own behalf, I welcome those students and their teachers to Parliament. Didaraso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I rise to support this bill, and for the following reasons. Honorable Speaker, this side of the House has a government to run. Government is about running schools, building roads, hospitals, and all those services that is for the well-being of the Kenyan citizen. Honorable Speaker, when the other side says we don't want to pay taxes, I want to say as follows. Every week, I drive for 8 hours to Marsabit on a first-class tarmac road that was paid for by the Kenyan taxpayer. Our population is small. Had we been told, pay for that road, we as the people of Marsabit or Isiolo, we could not have afforded to pay for that. For that reason, there are many things that we must have in mind. Taxation is about generation. That one generation must bequeath something to the following generation. And we have the choice. Either we bequeath them burden and poverty, or prosperity and equity. And in this particular case, I believe Kenya Kwanza government has said, let us bequeath equity and prosperity to the people of Kenya and for the following generation. Honorable Speaker, taxation comes with many things. One of it is burden. Everybody must dig into their pockets. But you have to make a choice. Do you want tomorrow to be much harder than today, or to make it harder today so that tomorrow you will have a better life? Among those things which we as legislators must go through, just visit Kenyatta National Hospital, where the very poor or deprived of our people visit that hospital, where they hardly get medicine, they hardly get good services of doctors, and our people are hardly able to pay their bills. But the doctors there and the staff that is in Kenyatta National Hospital, I think they are doing a magnificent job. But the question is, if we cannot pay for that facility, then what will happen to the majority of Kenyans who, like you and me, do not have that insurance cover to enjoy the best of facilities in this country? Honorable Speaker, the elephant in the room, why there is a lot of haranguing and complaints from the other side, is because the Kenya Kwanza government is saying, let us grow the tax bracket. Let us grow the economy. because we have been selectively taxing the few who earn salaries and the few big companies. Today we are saying, let everybody who is within reach of taxation pay their tax. And I think that is the discomfort that we are experiencing. Honorable Speaker, this particular committee have done a good job. What they have done is they have tried to balance between tax exemption areas and taxation areas. Finally, it is on the housing levy. Honorable Osoro said, in Kisii there is not enough land. In Marsabit, we have enough land. Sometimes we think what to do with that land. For that reason, if there's a constituency where the government is ready to build the 290 houses, I think they can come to Marsabit, and that land is available. Finally, the issue of housing levy, it is a saving, not a taxation. Kenya is considered to be one of the countries where people...
Your time is up. Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by swearing that I will say nothing but the truth only. Honorable Speaker, since this country became independent in 1963, projects have been funded, development projects have been funded, and the funding has either been through local revenue or debt.
You are there.
So this idea of people saying that development will not be able to be carried out because the bill will fail is a fallacy, Honorable Speaker. The second point, Honorable Speaker, is that we all say that Honorable Mwai Kibaki was able to multiply local collection by 5 times. There are 2 things which Mwai Kibaki did for him to be able to collect that kind of amount, Honorable Speaker. The first one was to ensure that Kenyans get value for money, so that the taxes they pay, they are able to get the kind of development they expected. And the second one was to build public trust, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you look at what is happening, Honorable Speaker, if you look at what is happening, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Honorable Makali Mulu, there's a point of order from...
Honorable Speaker, I did not intend to stop my brother from contributing, but I think there is a problem that has just occurred with our machines, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Since I came in, I have been number 5, and now it has gone completely off. And my immediate neighbor on my left is also experiencing a similar challenge, Honorable Speaker. So how, all of us, so how do we then track? Because some of us forfeited their lunch in order to be here so that we contribute substantively to this debate, Honorable Speaker. So kindly advise, Honorable Speaker, on the same.
Go on, Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, what I was saying is,
improvise.
I just want to comment on a number of proposals. Honorable Speaker, the proposal to increase VAT from 8 to 16%,
yes,
fuel levy, Honorable Speaker, will have 2 implications. The first one is going to be able to increase the cost of transportation, and the second one is the cost of production, Honorable Speaker. This is going to be made worse, Honorable Speaker, by the fact that in the same bill, there is a proposal, Honorable Speaker, to increase what they are calling, Honorable Speaker, vehicle advance, increase advance payment on passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles, Honorable Speaker. So the cost of transport is going to be increased. And as a result of that, Honorable Speaker, even agricultural production is going to be more costly, Honorable Speaker. So we are likely not to get the kind of benefits we expect from that increase. The second matter, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the housing levy. Honorable Speaker, it's been proposed that we charge 3%. I listened to the committee chair indicating that he will be reducing that to 1.5%. But 2 things, Honorable Speaker, have happened.
which are going to make the things worse, Honorable Speaker. The first one, the capping has been removed, Honorable Speaker, of 5,000. So you only pay now 1.5% of your basic pay, Honorable Speaker. The second one, Honorable Speaker, is that the issue of the money being collected, the issue of it being a saving where you can claim it back, Honorable Speaker, has also disappeared. So now what is going to happen, Honorable Speaker, is you give out the money, you will not be claiming anything, which makes things worse, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I've not even spoken for a minute, I can see. But yeah, so Honorable Speaker, the issue is the housing levy, Honorable Speaker, will be making matters worse for the Kenyans instead of improving it. The third issue, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of moving a lot of the goods from zero rating to tax exemption, Honorable Speaker. The fact that you are moving from zero rating to tax exemption, Honorable Speaker, is going to increase the cost of the same goods because the component of VAT for the inputs will not be factored in, Honorable Speaker. So, by the fact that this bill is proposing to move a lot of the goods from zero rating to tax exemption, Honorable Speaker, is going to make things worse for Kenyans. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, is the excise tax. Yes. There has been...
We'll even decide that. Okay. Yes. But we'll... Yes. Thank you, Makali Mulu. Give Makali Mulu 1 minute.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So the last point, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the excise tax, where I was saying the fact that when you impose excise duty, Honorable Speaker, on goods like clear gas, cement, and sugar, what will happen, Honorable Speaker, is even the expectation of generating more revenue or improving local manufacturing is going to be negated. On this basis, Honorable Speaker, what I want to say is the way the bill is being proposed by the Finance Committee is making things worse for the Kenyans, and this makes it a very strong candidate for rejection. So on those basis, Honorable Speaker, this bill should be rejected so that we help Kenyans improve their lives. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Rahim Daud.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would want to support the finance bill. And Mr. Speaker, I have seen the minority whip here today. Honorable Junet Mohammed is here. And Mr. Speaker, I think he should be doing his work because this report of the finance bill has been signed by both sides of the aisle, the Azimio together with the Kenya Kwanza. So, Mr. Speaker, I fail to understand when they are opposing this bill, when his members have already signed this bill. No offense meant, minority whip. Mr. Speaker, the reason I am supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker, the committee has done an excellent job. The committee of Honorable Kimani Kuria has done a good job, Mr. Speaker. Clause number 36 of Section 32 of the Tax Tribunal's Appeals Tribunal, where the Treasury had proposed that any person who is aggrieved by the position of the Commissioner of Income Tax or Commissioner General cannot appeal until he deposits 20% at the tax KRA. So, Mr. Speaker, that has already been overturned by the committee, and that's a very good proposal. Mr. Speaker, the committee again has overruled the Treasury on the tax exempt, what Mheshimiwa Makali Mulu has talked about. Mheshimiwa Speaker, the clause number 30, where Treasury had proposed to do VAT exempt for fertilizers and other pesticides together with the tea, the committee in its wisdom has rejected, has said that it should be zero rated so that all the companies which are producing fertilizer together with the pesticides will be able to now claim the VAT. Mr. Speaker, the other thing one of the previous speakers has talked about, I think I did raise an issue, but the mobile tax has not been increased. It was proposed to be 15 from 12, but the committee has retained it at 12 and ignored Treasury. So, Mr. Speaker, that should be even noted. Mr. Speaker, the digital content, a few speakers previously have said that the digital content was at 15%. Yes, Treasury had proposed 15, but the committee has reduced it to 5%. So, Mr. Speaker, there are many other things which are good in this bill, where the rental income was at 10%, but it has been reduced to 7.5%. So, Mr. Speaker, let us look at the good points in this bill, and I believe once the bill comes into play, we will have the housing levy. I need houses. If the members who say they do not need houses, I need houses in my constituency, and Meru County is ready to take all those houses which will be provided. Because once those are there, I mean, we are not looking at houses for ourselves. We are looking for houses for our people who will be getting those houses. Mr. Speaker, the clause number 52, where the committee has rejected the proposal of Treasury to give the Commissioner of Tax to registration on notification of abuse of power. So, Mr. Speaker, there are a lot of good things in it. The LPG, 16% VAT on LPG has already been removed. So that will mean LPG now will be costing much, much cheaper, and green energy as well. There are many incentives for the green energy. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I wish to support. And there are people on many WhatsApp groups, they say that they will probably not elect us in 2027. We want to tell them, wait and see how these tax proposals will work, and I believe they will work to our good. And the Azimio should give us their proposals of the budget, not to pinpoint the bad parts. They should have told us what would they have done differently, rather than criticizing everything what has been done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Karoli Omondi.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to speak both on the report as well as the finance bill. Mr. Speaker, from my experience, there are three things that normally can tell you the trajectory a country is taking, one of which is the level of savings. The other is the number of patents you can find in that country, and the third one is the money that is allocated to education. And I'm very conscious of the fact that the estimates have been published, and with that in mind, I'm now ready to make my comments on the finance bill. I've noted in the estimates that there's an increment in CDF allocation, probably of 18 to 22 million per constituency. In my case, in Suba South, where we give each student 10,000 shillings, that would mean additional resources for 1,800 students. I've also noted that there's an increase in allocation for the educational sector. I've also noted that there's a reduction on rental income from 10% to tax on rental income from 10% to 7.5%. But most importantly, I've also noted that there's a reduction of budget deficit by about 400 billion, meaning there's generally a reduction on the debt appetite. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of housing levy, let me put it on record that this is one of those areas where the public collective is more important than the individual collective. There are many, many areas where generally the public have to pull together to realize what is called the public good, such as in insurance, medical insurance, and housing schemes. The housing scheme is a very good idea that I would like to support, and I'd like to put it on record that it has been part of our agenda as ODM for a very long time, from 2007. I would like to make it clear that there may be arguments, there may be disagreements on this issue, but for the general public good, the housing levy is a good idea. What I would suggest, there should be a guaranteed minimum return on those who invest in this scheme, which should be benchmarked by the Treasury bill, rate for Treasury bills, so as to protect the investments against inflation. I would also like to suggest that we should have very robust ring fencing against corruption associated with this project. And finally, I would also like to suggest that we remove the tax on the income received from investments made by the public on housing levy. Mr. Speaker, on the charge on tax on non-residents, I would like to recommend very heavily, because I was not in the committee, that we avoid situations of double taxation or double jeopardy for non-resident Kenyans. And we should respect international obligations that we have under double taxation treaties. An issue that I was going to object to very strongly, but which has been addressed, was the 20% deposit on tax assessment when you appeal against KRA decisions. Mr. Speaker, as a lawyer, you would know those provisions that were proposed were tantamount to overturning the well-known principle of onus of proof on its head. But that has now been overtaken by events, and I'm very happy that that particular issue has been addressed. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of VAT on fuel, I understand very clearly that this is a conditionality from the IMF. But it also demonstrates how we do our politics in Kenya. It is very interesting that those who last year voted for the introduction of the VAT 8% are this year completely opposed to it. And those who opposed it last year are this year completely supporting it. But let me add my voice and say our economy is still very fragile. We can hardly see the early green shoots of a recovery. I would have wished to see very strongly that the 8% is not introduced on fuel levy because of the adverse impact it will have on everybody. On 35% tax, I agree with that. Those who earn more should pay more. Finally, Mr. Speaker, let me put it on record that I think the House should be respected by the various political parties, and members should not be intimidated or arm-twisted on how they should conduct their business in this House. And they should be free to vote the way they wish with their conscience for the public interest. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Take your seats. Sorry, take your seats. Honorable members, I appreciate the tremendous interest in this debate. On our screen, which has been malfunctioning at times, we have 115 requests. At 5 minutes, it means by 9 when we rise, just about 57 of you will have, no, 67 of you will have spoken. I want to suggest to you, members, and I remember my good English teacher, Roger Hargreaves, said, if you can't make your point in the first minute, you are unlikely to make it in 20 minutes. If you agree, we can reduce a little further to 3 minutes per member, save for the time reserved for the majority leader. If we reduce to 3 minutes per member, then we'll push to ensure that as many of you air your views and go on record on this issue. If you are in agreement, I want to proceed that way. Are we in agreement? As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. David Ocheng. Adjust your timing, 3 minutes. And honorable members, please reduce your trips to the chair. So that we can order, honorable members, please reduce your trips to the chair. We'll make sure everybody speaks.
I'm the first to suffer the consequences of 3 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I stand here to support the finance bill, Mr. Speaker, and to state that, Mr. Speaker, the very role of government is to ensure that the country is run in a manner that responds to the needs of the people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the needs of our people are diverse, are many, and can never be met within a year, 2 years, or even in a lifetime, Mr. Speaker. But it's always important for any government to ensure that it's able to satisfy at least the bare minimum of the needs of the citizens, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, after the budget that we passed last week, it is upon us as a country to ensure that we have resources, to ensure that we are able to implement our agenda. Mr. Speaker, this bill has gone through, in my opinion, the most thorough public participation that any bill has ever gone through. It's like we are changing the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, but we are not. We're just debating a bill that is going to help, Mr. Speaker, create jobs. Mr. Speaker, this bill has made proposals to put taxes that will ensure that you don't import so much fish, you don't import furniture, we don't import cement, we don't import paints. Mr. Speaker, the bill as currently done promotes job creation. And that's what we need in this country. We need more jobs, not fewer jobs, Mr. Speaker. And by ensuring that we are protecting the local industry, Mr. Speaker, we hope that more jobs will be created. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy with the committee on its recommendations on the tax on sugar. I was so worried, Mr. Speaker, that this was going to make our industries uncompetitive in EAC. Mr. Speaker, I thank the committee for accepting to remove the proposed import on sugar, because we're going to have our products going out into the East African region at a lower rate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the housing levy, Mr. Speaker, is the elephant in the room. Mr. Speaker, it is stupid. In fact, I don't know what I can describe, to beat a man for doing what you yourself proposed. The other side proposed this housing levy, Mr. Speaker. Now it's being implemented, and so the issue with the other side is not that they don't like housing. The issue they have is that someone else is implementing it. If they were the ones implementing it today, they would be asking us to support, Mr. Speaker. So I want to just request all of us to give this housing levy a chance, Mr. Speaker, and warn, Mr. Speaker, that after we approve this housing levy, Mr. Speaker,